Caleb,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Your second annual event, 400 people plus in a beautiful resort here in Miami. And what I want to do, because I know how events work, is like you've had highs and lows and all in between. And I want to do like a really, really quick recap of how you felt the event went, some of your highlights. I'll even go through all the speakers. And even if you didn't necessarily hear their whole talk, I would love to almost hear like why you chose them to speak, because I know you're very intentional. But before I dive into that, tell me, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. One of the most common things that I heard people say is this is a breath of fresh air for the industry. This is what the industry needs. Someone was as kind to say that they weren't sure where the life insurance industry was going in 10 years, and without this event, it may have gone the wrong way, which just
Wow.
blew me away.
No pressure. No pressure for
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what it is. I've poured my heart and soul into building this community and building these events because I spent my whole career going to conferences. And, you go to these, mega conferences in this space and they're just overrun by vendors and people trying to sell you stuff and talking about products. And it usually is driven by money, who bought that time on stage. And I really just wanted to build a place where advisors come, share their best language, what's worked for them, give people some motivation. So we've got performance coaches in there as well, talking about how you get over hardships, mental toughness, but just really practical things that people can walk away with, as opposed to having to pick and choose which slots they might want to listen to. Every seat was full the entire time for the entire agenda, which is a testament to what, the speaker lineup that I curated very carefully.
Yeah. I have never sponsored an event until yours.
Wow.
And let me take that back. I've sponsored other outside events, but I've never sponsored an insurance related event until yours. It was a no-brainer. I love you. I want to support you, but it actually was an amazing way to put our podcast and brand in your incredible event. So that's a testament to who you are and what you're running. And I very much agree with the momentum that's happening. I feel it, and I feel like you're only just getting started, which is crazy that you had 400 plus people and you're just getting started. I'm not going to ask you to pick a favorite, but do you have a few like highlights as you just reflect on the last 2.5, 3 days? Was there like a favorite moment or two?
I'm not sure I had a favorite moment. The way I organized the agenda was it was meant to be, some sections were technical, got really, really deep into data. Several sections were more motivational in nature, but they were all practical. Even the motivational ones, at the end of the days, I tried to leave on a high note. It wasn't just motivation and go run through a wall. It was how do you speak powerfully to clients, and how do you actually motivate them to take action? So a couple of the talks, those are the ones that stood out for me.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to now do is talk about the different keynote speakers, and I would love to hear either your biggest takeaway from them or why you asked them to come on the show. So you started the day one. It was an in-depth presentation. What was different about your presentation than what you've shared in other groups?
I had people tell me that was the best they've ever seen me on stage. And I think where it comes from is just a place of authority. I'm no longer using wishy-washy words like this may work or this might work for your clients. Like, this is the right approach. And the moniker that I used was principles over predictions. And I'll continue with that. I think this is the space where we act based on principles for our clients. And what I mean by that is principles of protection, principles of guarantees, security, safety. And a lot of that comes with hard stuff, difficult conversations about death, dying, becoming disabled. There's going to be a nurse showing up at your house, asking for your fluids, and a lot of tough questions about medical history, like things advisors don't want to do. But those are the conversations that move people to action. And predictions for me just means investments. Like, you can run all the simulations in the world you want and have this really cool stack of paper. But at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen in the market. We don't know what's going to happen in the world. And the last 100 years of history is not a predictor of what's going to happen for the next 100 years. So I think, getting back to basics and the principles that built this financial planning world that we're in today is really important. And no one's talking about it. Everyone's been seduced by this whole financial planning, wealth management. I call it financial entertainment. It's fun to talk about. It's just math and charts and graphs. And hey, look, you're going to be worth $10 million someday. That's all fun, but all of that gets disrupted when bad things that could happen. And the good advisors plan for that.
You have an example that I've heard you share multiple times. It's the reliever pitcher example. And it's like if you had to pitch the whole game, you would be pitching a lot more conservative. But if you knew you had a backstop, if you knew you had backup, you could pitch a lot harder. Did you come up with that yourself? And then like out of all the examples that you could use, you continue to use that. Like talk to me just about that before we jump into Joe.
That was quite literally me sitting on an airplane maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
Back when I was just a life insurance wholesaler, I spent so much time talking to investment advisors who had forgotten how to talk about permanent life insurance. And yeah, that was just me dreaming it up on an airplane by myself. And I've never really heard it anywhere else.
It's a great analogy. It's a great analogy.
And you just think about anything else you do. I mean, you prepare. You know, if you go hike up a mountain, you prepare just in case it takes a little bit longer than you thought. You know, if you drive over a bridge with low guardrails, you go a little bit slower, right? It's the same. It's just another analogy, but I've always found it's the perfect analogy for retirement.
Agreed. Joe Shirts.
So Joe was actually an introduction from Chris Smith. You know, Chris Smith I had met, I think for the first time at your event. And he's just such a wonderful human. I don't care what he's doing. I just wanted to listen to him talk. And I'm like, man, I just want to be, 1/10 the man that guy is. But as I dug into what he's been doing, I think he coaches really powerfully, and it's really on message with what I'm sharing, which is advisors need to differentiate themselves. And, talking about investment portfolios, nothing could be more commoditized today. I mean, heck, you could just enter some basic information in a chat GPT. It'll give you a financial plan. Like, it's the human conversations that really differentiate an advisor. And I just love the work that they do. So Joe came in, because Chris had some family issues. He couldn't make it. And he killed it.
I love it. Vince Dodona.
I mean, Vince is the godfather of this industry. He's been in it forever. He's trained, thousands and thousands of advisors. He's become a very good friend of mine. But he really delivered, and he shared exactly what he says to clients about the parallel path that we take. And yeah, I had no doubt that he was going to deliver, and that's why I had him on first to really set the stage.
The idea of parallel paths is powerful because it's like, okay, in a perfect world, there's a lot of things that could work really well. And in a perfect world, insurance may not be the thing that shines the brightest, but nothing's perfect. And so if you start factoring in some of the other things, it really helps you go back to the efficient plan is the one that works under as many scenarios as possible. I think he does it better than anybody, and it was awesome that he was in his element, able to show in real time how he does this presentation. Gary Gunderson is a dear friend. He had so much energy. I interviewed him after, and it was just like before and after. He was just like, he was fired up and excited, and so I knew he brought the house down just by how his demeanor happened. Yeah,
you can't lose with Garrett, and I just love his message of people thinking bigger, thinking intergenerationally. And it's not about just moving pots of money around. It's really about, what do we stand for? Who are we? And then what financial vehicles are guaranteed to back that up for your family, as opposed to just hoping and praying, that money gets transferred, which we all know it doesn't.
Do you have a favorite Garrettism?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, he always says, build a life you don't want to retire from.
That's good.
I'd love to steal that, but I don't like stealing stuff from people. So I let him have that, but I love that line. Because that's what we're doing here. That's what financial planning should be about, not math.
E. Selfie Taylor, I didn't hear him speak, but I knew he crushed it because every time he was at his booth, he had a crowd around him. I had the honor of interviewing him. He brings a ton of energy. Why did you decide to bring him in, and what was his main topic that he was talking about?
Yeah, Zolfi is great. I wish I had 1/10 of his energy. I mean, he gets up.
He told me his age, and I was like, dude, your next business is anti-aging, bro.
Yeah. He just. I mean, I've seen him on several stages. As I've moved around the country and been at conferences, he's mastered the language. Nothing he says is really all that complex. He doesn't hold himself out as some brainiac. He just is really great at the art of communication. And owning it. He shows up powerfully and does not waver. So I think he brought that energy, and it was a voice that I think most people in the room hadn't heard before. So yeah, he's top notch.
Harlan with the reverse mortgages.
Yeah, some people were surprised about that, but a big part of this business is not just getting people to want to do something or take action on a certain strategy. It's finding the money. And I've always been fascinated with, reverse mortgages and the fact that most people's wealth is either in their 401k or their home equity. and it's untapped. And there's really great options out there to tap that now. Reverse mortgages was almost a dirty word in the 80s and 90s, but all of those bad practices have really been erased and regulated away. And it's just a great opportunity. So, Harlan's been a friend of the industry for years. I've seen him at, conferences for, gosh, 10, 15 years now as I've been making my way around. So I just thought it would be a unique idea for folks that weren't thinking that way.
Yeah, and then we have Dennis Martin, we got Nick, we got Jordan Montgomery. Talk to me about how day one finished.
Yeah, so Dennis Martin is a president of all distribution for One America. Just a great guy that I've gotten to know over the last year or so. So I wanted a little bit of a view from the top, kind of the executive view, what's shaping the industry. So he gave a lot of that. Jordan Montgomery is just, and I introduced him this way. He's just an all around good human. Like he loves people. He's very vulnerable and will share his failures. And his book is called The Art of Encouragement, and he's just very encouraging and helps people, use great language to make others feel good, therefore want to refer to you. And then Nick Palumbo is an industry legend. Like he's been in the industry a long time. He's done a lot of business at very high levels. So that was kind of an obvious choice for me there.
Yeah, I interviewed Nick, and people get emotional, and I don't think there's many YouTube videos I do to make people cry, and I think that's going to be one of them. All right, day two, you brought out the mega players, especially when it comes to academics. Yeah, you started with Dr. Wade Fowle, then Jason Sanger, Curtis Cloak, Rebecca Blass, Kuldeep Madam. Talk to me about that lineup, man.
Day two was meant to be a powerhouse lineup. At the very least, I wanted the butts in seats until the end of the conference.
That's good.
Didn't want anyone leaving early, so I'm saving the best for last. But at day two, it got even more technical. So I think day one, the reason I started was to kind of set the stage for what we're talking about here, and then have everyone, touch on points that I started with. So yeah, we started with, Wade Fowle. Wade Fowle is my biggest mentor. He signed off on my doctorate. I've studied under him for years and years. There's no one on planet Earth, I don't think, that knows more about retirement planning than he does. So to have him lead off and just have him lend his voice, and then of course, working with Wealth Building Cornerstones, they've got some pretty approachable, easy software that you can use with clients to prove these concepts with client numbers. And then of course, moving on to Curtis Cloak, also industry legend, been around forever and ever. He's got software too, but he's masterful in how you talk about this.
Yes.
And how you simplify very complex topics for people.
Yeah, the father of the deferred income annuity. Like that's one of many things that he can put on his name.
He's been at the table, and he's been at the table in so many things. So that's an important point. Rebecca is a new connection for me, but I wanted to have a strong female voice, in an industry that's dominated by, middle-aged men. So it was great to have her there, sharing the unbelievable success that she has had over the course of her career, and impact that she's made. She had $2 billion in death benefit in force. Like, think about how big that number is. And she showed up great. So I again, always trying to mix in top producers on top of, the academics. So it's not just us talking about concepts, but how you actually communicate that to people and the words that you use. Kuldeep continues to be a better and better friend. I never expected that, but we've just become really good friends over the years. So he will give me the shirt off his back if I ask for it. So I set him loose, and this was the best I've ever seen him. There's no going off on tangents, or no going down deep rabbit holes on very technical concepts, because he works with ultra high net worth.
Yeah.
He delivered in a very powerful way. His whole end-to-end process. Couldn't be happier with that. And I really wanted that to be a middle of the day on the second day, so people understood what we're doing here and the caliber of people that are in my community. Any advisor that's trying to do this part of the business well that has not joined my community, I mean this, with all due humility, they're missing the boat. I mean, I don't charge a lot of money for this stuff, and I am as far as I know, I'm introducing people to the best in the business.
Yes.
So, and Kuldeep showed up and showed exactly how he does that.
Yeah, and if you're not part of Tom's community, we'll have a link down below for you to gain more insight on the mastermind and the other things that you have going on. Yeah. The afternoon, you had Bobby Samuelson, and then you sat down with the one and only Michael Phelps.
Yeah, that was
Let's
cool.
Let's start with Bobby. What a funny communicator, what a brilliant human. Anything that he said on stage that shocked you, surprised you, and like, what was the reason you brought him in?
So I actually didn't really get to listen to Bobby too much this year because I was backstage with Michael Phelps. But I've heard Bobby a ton of times. I'm a subscriber of his. He is the smartest guy in the room when it comes to life insurance. He quite literally has a consulting company that helps major mutual companies build new life insurance products. So there's nothing that he doesn't know. But he is masterful in how he communicates that, and I wouldn't say dumbed it down, but he makes it approachable to advisors who understand this stuff, but they're not actuaries. So he does a really good job talking about whole life insurance and why he believes, really, it's not even a belief, he knows that it's really the only product that can, on a guaranteed basis, deliver on its promises. And he talked about, the part I did hear, he did talk about, how it's the only product that can demonstrate over the course of, 100, 150 years that it delivers on its promises. And then, of course, Phelps. I wanted to have a big name speaker here, and I toyed with who's that going to be. And of course, I'm polling all of my, rich connected friends. I'm like, who do you know who's a superstar? And we're looking at NFL quarterbacks, and I'm like, I don't know. And then someone said they knew Michael Phelps. That's literally how it happened.
Wow.
And I said, well, yeah. I have people coming from all over the country.
Everyone remembers.
Who is more Mr. America than Michael Phelps? I'm like, that's perfect. So we got connected last summer. We had a quick Zoom call, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm in. This is a big part of what I do. And then getting to know him, he shared a lot, about his mental health, which he shared on stage, got very vulnerable. And I think that resonated with the crowd in a way that I originally didn't quite expect. And it was so powerful because this business is hard. People have to do very hard things. They have to become a person that they weren't when they started this business, leading other people, having really hard conversations, losing cases, having months where they don't make any income. This is easily one of the hardest businesses to get started in, but also the most rewarding, if you can be successful in it. So, to hear, we've all heard athletes speak before, and it's, determination and, show up every day and discipline. We all know that stuff. But to have him share that, even with all of his success, that he had the lowest of lows you can have, quite literally suicidal thoughts that he's admitted to, and is very open about. I think that resonates with people. Like, hey, even the biggest and the best have that stuff too. They're not just they're not just physically blessed and therefore show up the best. Yeah. Think about that. He swam every single day, often twice a day, for 6 years straight before his first gold medal, and then did it for 20 years. 20 years.
Most people in our industry are out after a year or less because they can't make any money. And it's just a different mindset.
It really is. Yeah. So, and then he was very gracious with his time. He hung out for an hour and a half at our after party and was just high-fiving, doing selfies, like way above and beyond. So it just ended up being an overall amazing event. And hopefully it's this is my second, but it sounds like this is going to be an annual thing for the industry. I'm not quite sure how big I'll go, but at least this big, and really just looking to make an impact and support these advisors that are struggling and that we need in this world.
And we just finished up with the VIP day. Any themes or anything, any highlights from today?
Yeah, so I have an inner circle group too that I run, which is more of a study group style, and I really wanted today to feel like that, where it wasn't the Tom show on stage. I basically said nothing today. I brought in some of those higher end speakers to just openly share, do it workshop style, pull their laptop on stage, share their best secrets, their best language, take questions from the crowd. And we did that for about 4 hours straight, powerfully, and it was great. So I always find having that opportunity to do that is kind of a nice way to decompress on that third day. Give people some people that want that extra access, that extra time, just give them the ability to do that.
Well, we're not going to hold you to anything that you say, but as this is concluded, and as you're thinking about the future, any like, how are you going to top this? Like, or are you even going to try to top this? Because I know events are very stressful. I'm telling you guys, events are very stressful. You have to be a little crazy to even think about wanting to do an event. You pulled it off, but I know that you put a lot of your blood, sweat, and tears and money into making this happen. Any final reflections, thoughts about this year and then going forward?
We are definitely doing it again. We are probably doing it bigger. This was an interesting year where I turned down a couple very lucrative offers, where people wanted me to actually it would have been a W-2, but a big one. And the reason I didn't take that was I think I'm doing something special here for the industry that nobody else is. And if not me, then who? So I almost feel like I have to keep going with this. I feel like I'm serving something bigger than myself. It's financially rewarding, but could I do better elsewhere? Maybe. I just love waking up every day and knowing that I'm helping people. And, it's been said that you are most equipped to help the person that you once were.
Yes.
And when I was 21 years old, I was relatively decent looking guy. I was educated. I was hardworking. I did okay in this business, but I struggled. I struggled with confidence. I struggled with conviction. I struggled with, all of the things that you face. Even when I started having a little bit of success, I knew I was 22 years old, asking 52-year-old people to, give me their millions. That ain't going to happen. So, it was, or at least not a lot. So it was a struggle. And I think a lot of it came, if I could only speak then and have the confidence and conviction then the way I do now, how differently might have that turned out for me. So if I can even just impact, not just the younger generation, but just this new generation of advisor who is more remote, less supported by their agencies, these major home offices, even if they're affiliated with one of these Fortune 100s, they're cutting resources to train and develop these folks. And we're more and more remote on our own little islands in this business as the world has gone towards Zoom. If I can be an influence in their lives and make them better, to me, that's how I, through advisors, can impact millions, tens of millions of Americans. And it's just so cool to watch it play out.
Yeah. Well, Tom, thank you on behalf of many people that I've personally heard from directly that said that this is one of, if not the best event that they've ever attended in their career. Thank you for what you do. I'm grateful for you. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed to my channel or Tom's channel, help us out. There will be an easy way to subscribe to my channel, and we're going to tag you as well. So there's an easy way to subscribe to Tom's. That's another way that you can help rise the tide, is to be able to get this information out to more people.
And I would just say as a final thought, I have been so blessed over these last several years to be in different cities every week, sometimes a couple cities in a week. I've met basically all the best people in this business, and you are one of them.
Thank you.
You said you said you love me and you'll do anything for me, vice versa. I think you are a powerful force in this space. You're an honest voice in this space. And I just feel very blessed to have you in my network and be able to do cool stuff. And I think that we have some pretty cool stuff we'll be doing together for years to come. So
stay tuned.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you're an advisor, life insurance agent, or someone who just loves the life insurance space, we have a must-attend event for you. It's our 5th annual Life Insurance Summit, June 15th through the 17th, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Not only are we going to have the biggest names in the life insurance space, but this is also an incredible opportunity for you to meet and connect with like-minded individuals and be a part of our ever-growing community. Learn more and get your tickets before they sell out in the link in the description or pinned comment. Can't wait to see you there.